What's up, guys? This is Zach with Wash Nerds. Here to film you a how-to video on how to wash concrete the right way, some tips and tricks on what to look out for, and to explain the circle method. So this is actually a cool story. This is the very first driveway we ever washed about 4 years ago. So I'll take you on a little lap around to show you what it looks like, what we've learned in the past, what we've learned over our last 4 years. You'll see a lot of lines that stand out. So before we started cleaning, we just did the line method and didn't post-treat or pre-treat anything. And this is exactly what you'll see 4 years later. You're starting to see the lines come back through and just kind of some growth that you shouldn't see if you do pre-treat and circle method. So stay tuned, and this is going to be a pretty lengthy video, but I hope it answers a lot of questions. So I'll take you guys on a lap here. As you can see, the lines are starting to come back right here on this side especially. You can see the lines coming through. And this is what 4 years of dirt and grime looks like. So again, this is no post-treating or pre-treating. This is no chemicals. This was simply just done with our starter equipment surface cleaner that we can link in a different video. It was all done with that Harbor Freight pressure washer and then the surface cleaner linked. But again, you can see the lines coming back. So this is going to be a pretty lengthy how-to process. And we're going to clean this customer's driveway once again. A couple things to note here. You'll see me wearing a respirator. I know Dylan's touched on this in our safety section of our website, and we've also touched on it on a few videos. Our pre-treatment method is using bleach. It's not really safe for us to breathe in. We used to not wear a respirator, but after a couple years of doing this, we've just kind of switched to high safety and just wearing this on any occasion we're messing with the bleach. So the first pass through you saw me doing was just spraying straight water on the surface. That will allow our pre-treatment to actually sit on the surface and dwell a little bit. On a really hot day like today, if we just did the pre-treatment, it would just quickly evaporate due to how hot the concrete is. So first pass was water, second pass was our pre-treatment method. Here I am cutting in. I like to use the green tip, as you see in the end of my wand here. It's just a little bit more powerful than the J-rod we typically use. However, the one downside is it typically sprays up any mulch or landscaping on the side of the house or the garage door. So basically all we're doing cutting in here is getting areas of the concrete where your surface cleaner can't reach, which is typically corners or sharp edges where that big circle can't get in there. So cut in with the green tip, and then I rinse down with our J-rod. Here are the last few areas I need to cut in before I can actually start surface cleaning the driveway. Nice little trick we learned recently is when you're cutting in around grass, if you stand in the grass and cut in back towards the driveway, it saves your face from getting absolutely blasted with grass and dirt and anything else that would splash up from the cutting in. So you saw me stand on the flip side there to cut in that triangle in that corner of the driveway. Next, you'll see me cut in around this downspout drainage extension. I could just move it, but it's pretty firm in place, and the customer didn't want me messing with it. So just left it where it was and cut in around the concrete extension. All right, now for the moment you've all been waiting for. I hope you got your popcorn, you're ready to sit down and take some notes. And a good thing to note before you get started is you always want to start from a high point to a low point. You don't want to be chasing your water the whole way. So most driveways just naturally drain down to the end and towards the main street. This one, you can already see it kind of flowing that way. So starting up towards the garage door and going back down towards the end of the driveway. The circle method compared to just straight line method in concrete cleaning. So you cut in mostly just around the grass and around the garage door, and then you'll start seeing me doing the circle method. The circle method is essentially just a 3 foot by 3 foot circle, and you want it to overlap about 50% of the circle you did before. So instead of just doing straight lines, you'll see me doing roughly a 3 foot circle, and you can kind of see the overlapping happening right here. You're essentially hitting every area twice, but not really going over it all twice, compared to just the line method where you're overlapping the edge and you can very easily see lines grow back. Here's a close-up video of the circle method. You'll see me doing the circles, still working kind of downstream and overlapping each one. I'm not going to make y'all listen to me talk this whole time. I'll just put on some nice tunes for you and maybe speed this up a little bit quicker. I'll probably just speed it up a little bit quicker. It's best to work in small sections to prevent that loose dirt and debris that you just cleaned from drying back on the concrete. So like I said, it's already a really hot day. Working in small sections is best. You can kind of manage the work zone a lot better. So here I am rinsing. You saw me rinse the house and the driveway. Of course, they didn't pay for house wash, but you don't want to leave it dirtier than you found it. So rinsing off the house and the driveway where anything splattered up on it. And here we are rinsing everything we just cleaned. A nice little thing to note, the customers, I've had plenty of customers reach out about this. When you clean out all the debris and the cracks, it really makes a difference. So you'll see me spending a lot of time trying to get any grass, dirt, debris out of these cracks everywhere in the driveway. It really just makes it pop and makes it look a lot cleaner. So rinsing a small section, surface cleaning a small section. Rinsing a small section, surface cleaning a small section. These next few clips are exactly the same, just different sections of the driveway. I'm actually going to put music on so you don't listen to my boring monotone voice the entire time. One thing I do want to point out here, you'll see me rinse this section with our ball valve instead of using our wand. You can do either one. The ball valve is just incredibly loud when you turn it and use it for rinsing, so I prefer the wand, but I just wanted to show both options as they both work. When quoting driveways, it's always standard for us to include the sidewalk out against the road. Here you'll see me cutting in. It's always important to leave a very nice, clean, distinct line when doing the sidewalk, butting up against their neighbors. So that's what you're seeing me do here, is just cutting in the sidewalk right against their neighbor's house. And it's always important to go towards one of these saw cut lines and making a very clean cut. One of the last things you'll see me doing here is rinsing all that mud and dirt that we just cleaned from the driveway from the base of the driveway. It's important to do this because you don't want your customer driving over their curb and gutter and just tracking up all that mud on their freshly cleaned driveway. So I typically rinse that down between their driveway and their next door neighbor's driveway. Eventually the next rain event will take care of it all. So that's all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you have any questions on how to clean concrete like a pro using the circle method, feel free to reach out to us.